But all right, so let's get into it. Our first review and only review of the day is going to be for the animated series Scavengers Reign. Scavengers Reign is the Max animated series. They're only available on the Max streaming service here, Max Original, as it says right there. This is based on the short film of the same name, created by Joseph Bennett and Charles Huter. So in this story, it follows three sets of characters that you're following that they're stranded on this planet, the planet of Vesta. They were on a ship called the Demeter 227, which I guess is a Bram Stoker reference. I guess they probably pull a Demeter, probably thinking maybe a Bram
Oh
Stoker.
wow, I didn't even realize that until you said it.
Yeah, I was thinking that. But yeah, so they were on a ship called the Demeter 227. The job of the ship is kind of how like you see in most sci-fi stuff of like the job of a crew to take kind of a colony of people to there to go to a planet in order so they can be there. That was kind of their mission. They go off track, end up crashing on this planet Vesta, get stranded there. And so you have three sets of characters, like I said, that you follow that are on this planet that are trying to get back to the ship when they escape from it on the escape pods there. So you have Ursula there, who so there that's a crew member there. They're stranded. She's stranded on the planet Vesta with Sam, who's the older gentleman there that you saw in the trailer with the beard there. You have Ozzy, who's there, who's with the robot Levi. Can't get away from those Levis. They just got done with Attack on Titan discussing Captain Levi. Also discussing another Levi here, and who's the robot there. And you also have a character of let's see,
Is it
Cayman
Cayman?
there, who's all alone by himself, who you just see who I mean, he eventually gets into a partner later on. He gets his own little buddy. We're gonna get into that. And probably gonna discuss a little bit of spoilers here for it. If we kind of get further there. But those are usually the sets of characters that you follow there while on this planet. And while they're on this planet of Vestige, as you can see here, really they encounter all these dangerous different creatures, very trippy type of sense to it. And yeah, and really trying to fight the elements as they try to get back to the ship there. So yeah, this was a 12 episode series. It's each episode's about 24 minutes. So it's a quick watch if people wanted to check it out. The short film that Sage mentioned beforehand, that he watched, it was only 10 minutes, he said. So if you want to watch that and also get into this, you can. This being like a 12 episode series, them expanding the concept out. How is it with the 10 minute short film there? Is it pretty much, kind of they do the same beats here, just faster pretty much?
the so the short film to really felt like a proof of concept of the world that they're on. There was very little to no like character development or character storytelling in the short. It's really kind of just feels like it's all about selling the idea of the alien world itself, which of course is a huge part of the series. I mean, I almost say that is almost the main character more than any of the named humans in the story. But so the short does really effectively kind of pitch that concept to you, and I'm impressed in the short just how solid the animation looks. I wasn't expecting it to look maybe I thought it would look less refined, a little more rough around the edges than it does. And maybe in some shots, like there are some spots where maybe it doesn't look as good as the full series. But yeah, I was really impressed just as a proof of concept, just how close this actually is environmentally to the final product.
Yeah. So this is the short film right here. And I think one of the differences between the short film and then watching the episodes there, is that you actually kind of see the crash. I think more here than you do in the film because in the series you don't really see the crash at all. It's kind of just
At least not right away.
yeah, at least not right away. And then it kind of just, which I have an interview here from the creators of it, which they talked about they wanted to have a feeling like lost, basically, of like trying to, figure out like
Okay.
kind of what's kind of going on here. And we'll also talk about some of the influences here as well with the series, which I found there. But yeah, very strong animation. This was 4 years ago that they did this. And yeah, very, very good, strong animation that they have here. And I think the animation with this series is one
She
of
brought some
the key selling points here, with it. How would you describe this animation here? And what does it kind of remind you of?
Gosh, it has this psychedelic sci-fi feel to it that I think has more in common with something like Fantastic Planet. So that may not be the most familiar piece of animation out there. It's a 1973 French animated film, I believe. Um, but it's very rare, I think, that an alien world in anything, whether live action, animation, video games, uh, feels as alien as this. And so it does have this kind of, oh, there you go. Yeah, it has this very kind of old school sci-fi feel to it. It's esoteric on purpose. It's never too concerned with explaining exactly how the ecosystem works with itself. It's kind of it really I think one of the genius elements of it is it really sells uh, the brutality of nature not by making nature the antagonist, but just kind of a capturing the idea of nature's indifference towards life, rather than it being animosity directly. It's this indifference. And that I think that's where the cosmic horror actually kind of feels most palpable.
Yeah. Yeah, you see it, kind of almost kind of like old school anime type look to it as well. Some of the creators said that two of the big inspirations here, Akira, Perfect Blue, were two of the big inspirations, and they also had a lot of live action inspirations as well. It being, I guess you could kind of see the Akira with the bike there that
Oh, totally.
Ozzy rides that very futuristic type bike there.
I
And
think Ozzy
also
even does an Akira bike slide at one point in the show.
I gotta do the Akira bike slide. I always have to do that, you know? And Perfect Blue, which we reviewed, by the way, me and you and, special guest Michael, Haywood came on, which we reviewed for the channel. Yeah, I could kinda see that as well there, especially the emotion here with a lot of the characters that they go through, especially Cayman, his character kinda almost has, like, a psychological break there because he's all alone by himself, and he's got nobody. At least like the other characters, at least like Ozzy's got the robot Levi. At least Ursula has Sam. He's got nobody, and you see a lot of backstory with him and his personal life. I think more than any of the other characters, like dealing with his partner, who's also voiced by Ali Shawkat, who people know as she was maybe in Arrested Development. So she does two voices here. She does Fiona, who's the estranged wife of Cayman, and then she also does the robot Levi there. Um, so you see stuff with him. But yeah, just a lot of stuff with the world, the creatures, everything like that. When I initially saw it, I had the thought of like Annihilation. I don't know if you ever seen
Mm,
that movie before, which
totally. I could absolutely see that.
which this article from the Hollywood Reporter, the reporter asked, like, I got big Annihilation vibes from it. And it's like, was that a big influence with you with this? And they actually said, no, it really wasn't. They said, actually, we were making this at the time when this was already coming out. And they said they saw it and went like, oh shit, you know what I mean? What are we gonna do? Because it's pretty similar to it. And I like this movie. This movie, I think it was directed by I'm blanking on the person's name right now. Yeah, Ex Machina, Alex Garfield, right.
Mm.
That and it kinda has the same thing when they go inside, like, this bubble, and you see all these kinda different creatures there and different world and the kind of the look of it, it has that kinda feel to it. This movie, if you're looking for answers, you ain't gonna get them in this, that's for fucking sure. I mean, the movie doesn't really answer a whole lot, but, that kinda reminded me a lot of that as well, there. But they said, yeah, I mean, they saw it and thought it was, a great film and everything like that. Um, you said it reminds you of something like the Fantastic Planet. Was there any other kind of inspirations there that you thought reminds you of?
Well, I definitely thought of Alien and The Thing. For
Mm,
as far as like live action movies go, there's a strong dose of you know I- pretty pretty gruesome body horror in here that definitely gave me like John Carpenter's.
mm. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of that you see because a lot of these alien creatures on this planet, a lot of what they do to the people here. and then some other characters that show up later on. But yeah, I mean, with this, nothing is worse than being stranded, somewhere, and especially on a foreign planet here, you're trying to make it back, and then also they have this crew to get back to that's in hibernation, that they want to take care of and help them also wake up. So I thought that added a much needed sense of tension with also with all the foreign elements kind of going on there with all these aliens. Um, but yeah, just yeah, I mean, really, you're gonna really remark a lot of the design there and a lot of the character interactions here. What do you think some of your favorite character interactions you think, of the series?
I think if I had to pick a pair, I think Ozzy and Levi. I loved the dynamic of this because you have that. It kind of reminded me of 2001 a little bit, although with a less threatening personality from the machine. But there is this just interesting way that, and it's maybe never even fully explained, like you said, not a lot of direct answers into how things work, but this kind of really bizarre way that Levi seems to kind of interface with the nature, and it suggests this idea of perhaps some sort of evolution taking place mentally there, psychologically. And I think I'm a sucker for stories like that in general, like 2000. And I thought Ozzy also, I mean, they all go through some pretty brutal, violent struggles, but some of the stuff that when Ozzy is like, this robot is staring off into the distance, thinking about its existence, and I have to let it sit here while I go take care of this. And some of the things that she just has to go through during that just felt really, really earned. And when the character growth beats happen, I always felt like they were very earned, really struggled for. Yeah, I'd say Ozzy and Levi.
Yeah. Yeah, I see Ozzy and Levi a lot. I think they're very good. I liked a lot of what Kamen went through there.
Yeah,
And linking up with this telepathic alien there, and it kind of consumes him. And you see that he's reflecting on his life there. Yeah,
that made me think a lot of, and just in terms of animation, some of what they did there, of Princess Mononoke. There, because
Princess.
there's shots in Princess Mononoke where there's people are kind of engulfed in these like black oozing tentacles, right? These kind of there it's more supernatural, but the some of the imagery there felt very directly.
Well, I mean, it's funny you say it because that also was another big inspiration for them was,
Oh,
Hayao
well, there we go.
Miyazaki there was, his films and everything like that. That was also another big inspiration there. And yeah, so this is the trailer for Princess Mononoke here. So you see, yeah, a lot of that. I see it definitely a lot of that animation style coming back into Scavenger's Reign there. That's making an appearance. Yeah, that kind of makes it feel timeless in a way. I think with Scavenger's Reign. Um, so how did you, first hear about Scavengers Reign at all? Was it just when
I
I
just
mentioned
got
it?
recommended a random YouTube video, probably mid September, probably about like a month roughly before it came out. And the trailer alone had me sold. I love sci-fi. I love horror. I love cosmic horror. I love animation. I love when we get adult animation in the States, which I feel like does not happen as often as it should. Every element of this kind of spoke to me.
Yeah, and a lot of what they said, you look at the interview there, they talked about, saying, animation being the medium to tell a story there. I mean, you could do this live action as well, but, would it have maybe the same impact? I mean, the budget probably be a lot higher, with a lot of the creatures and effects and everything. Yeah.
I think you might be able to capture the same sense of horror in live action without it being maybe as difficult. But I think what would be harder in live action is the moments where the environment is kind of gives off this almost mesmerizing sense of like beauty and kind of peace and almost there's like almost like a hopefulness in the nature that it also manages to showcase at the same time, like to what I said earlier about there being like this indifference from nature. It's not antagonistic, it's not friendly, it just kind of is what it is. And that lack of caring about whether a human being's capable of really um, formulating a perception of it or not. I think that is kind of the key component here.
Mm, yeah, because it's I mean, you see kinda everything's moving with the planet, everything's, like seems like alive with the planet, everywhere around it, that they're encountering here, and you will get, yeah, a lot of body horror stuff here, and I think that's very reminiscent of something like Akira that you see, a lot of people ingesting things, a lot of people being, stung or bit or, swallowing something, or they have these kinda hallucinations where they kinda trip and you think like, "Is this the end for them? Are they gonna die right here? Are they gonna kinda be able to make it out of it?" Which I think is also very interesting that keeps you on its toes there. And to be able to kinda make it, as interesting for these 12 episodes to kinda stretch it out there, I think is also good. And doesn't feel like, I don't think you think 12 episodes was too many, or do you think 12 episodes was just enough?
I thought it was just enough. I thought the pacing was really rock solid throughout, and it's because it is a bit slow at times. It does take its time building up to things, but I think that's necessary to kind of showcase the world itself, and which feels like such an important part of what they're doing.
Mm. Yeah. And I think it's even kicked off more when you see these other kind of bandits, I guess, or pirates kind of come in. Chris and was it Chris and Barry there kind of come in, and they were like, "Hey, trying to make a deal. It's like we want the cargo, and we'll help you get back to the ship there if you do that." What did you think about like the introduction of those kind of characters later on in the series, and then you also had like a crew member of the Demeter that just was only like like basically like a red shirt, basically just coming in for that kind of one episode there.
Yeah, that was funny. I had the red shirt thought as well. Yeah, I mean, it's more in service of what's going on with Cayman and kind of helping kind of push something with what his flashbacks are telling you in the story in that particular episode, and his kind of attitude towards other people and the crew in general, and kind of what his life was like leading up to the crash. And then as far as Chris and Barry, that was interesting. I mean, I think if there's one character that I found to be just pretty just all around unlikable, it would have been Chris. I can't say I have too many redeeming qualities about her.
Yeah, and Chris is voiced by Paulinina, McIntosh. She's been in such things as The Walking Dead: World Beyond, and she was also in the Walking Dead series, and Vikings Valhalla. She was also in that. So I don't
Okay,
know if maybe if you've seen those things. I stopped.
I
I
have
gave up.
not.
I gave up on Walking Dead a long time ago, so I don't know
Yeah,
anybody
my
from that.
least favorite comic book adaptation of all time.
So yeah, I think yeah, I mean, she does a very good job there. A lot of the voice work here too. I think they all do a very good job. What do you think about the voice work in here?
Yeah, yeah, I think the voices are stellar across the board. It helps too that I didn't really recognize the names for the most part. It felt very much like I was just coming into something with pretty much all unknowns, nothing familiar. Just like the world of the alien world and the environment felt so unfamiliar. I felt unfamiliar with the voices, the character designs all being brand new. I mean, it's refreshing for it to just be something new. It's not based on anything other than the short film, I guess. But it's yeah, it's a super refreshing original concept, and I think they got like a perfect cast for it. There's so much emotion, I think, in all of the voices, and they're quiet and somber and tempered when they need to be, and then they do have kind of these outbursts of emotion. I think just at the right times. Yeah, and that adds, I think, to, like I said, the pacing that I think is also just really really well done.
Any one that's a particular favorite for you, voice wise?
Hmm. I think I actually would say I think I would say Sam. There
Sam.
was something about the you talk about some of the body horror and some of the kind of the contemplation the characters have to go through, and kind of in his voice there's just these very interesting notes in the way he speaks about himself as the story goes on, and I really appreciated that. I thought there was a lot of good subtlety in the way that he expressed his emotions.
Let me see. I'm trying to find, and this is Sam right here. I think I just went past him a little bit there.
Mhm. Big white
Oh,
beard and the pink shirt.
yeah, I think I just went past him a little bit there, but yeah, yeah, here he is. Yeah, that was him right there. That little glimpse of him right there, and yeah, right here. Yeah, I love his voice. I think Bob Stevenson is who does the voice of him.
Okay.
Yeah, not really much I would know him from. He apparently his big thing, he was, Sheriff Jimmy Taylor in the CBS series Jericho. Never I haven't seen that.
All right. Yeah, don't even know what that is.
I think I have heard of it. I have heard of it, but I never watched it, I think.
Oh God, you know what? I think Luke Perry might have been in that actually. The
Okay.
90210 guy.
Oh, okay. For me, I think, Ozzy was for me. Ozzy was for me was I think my personal favorite there. Really loved a lot of voice work for her there. She gets a lot of time, and that's her right there. She's voiced by Wumi Mosaku. She's been
Okay.
in things like she was in Luther. She was in the BBC series with Idris Elba in it, and then she was
Mm.
also in Lovecraft Country and Loki. Now that, I'm seeing her credits, it's like, oh, yeah, I do kinda remember her, I know who she is there. But she really goes through a lot, in this, here, and it's almost like the series, it's almost like the time is divvied up pretty well between a lot of these 3 sets of these characters, and, they all feel like they could be the main character in a solo movie there or their own thing, and I think they carry their segments pretty well. Did you ever think there was ever, like, a lull in the series at all or one kinda terrible moment or
No, honestly, I really have. I'm gonna be honest. I really have very few, if any, negative things to say about this. I thought I was engaged and genuinely kind of mesmerized the whole way through.
yeah, it is mesmerizing, this animation, yeah, it is really great to look at here. Yeah, look, that's really gross stuff, like stuff that gets on their skin and, under their skin and on their hands, and
It's
yeah,
like altering the biology of the body and everything.
yeah. It's just like, I mean, you just never wanna go to an alien planet because you don't know what you can touch, what you can eat, what you can just anything that kinda stings you, you know what I mean? It's like, Jesus, this is, like, all terrible
Hey, you
all
go to the
around.
wrong place on this planet, you could run into who
Go
knows
to
what.
Australia, you see some crazy shit there. Yeah, and the creature design here too is also really nice. A lot of good creature design, like they do here, which is really good too. Yeah, I think I mean I can't really say I don't think anything is really too negative for me with this. I think this was a really strong series. I'm glad I checked it out. Glad people recommended it. Glad I saw a lot of traffic about it online. People talking about it. What would be kind of your final thoughts and rating for it?
Yeah. I mean, I think this is one of the best animated things I've seen this year. I think it's a really strong note to kind of end the year on. In terms of just it being sci-fi, it's also, I think, one of my favorite science fiction stories I've seen in years and years. I think this it stands out. It's horrifying and yet beautiful. It balances that dichotomy really well. Found the characters to be likable and engaging, easy to attach to. I'd give this a cinema. I really loved this.
Yeah, and trying to think like, I mean, film wise, I mean, what have we really had sci-fi wise that's been really like
The
a big
last
hit?
thing I can think of is Annihilation, and that's several years ago at this point. So
Annihilation. I know
I'm
this
sure there's
year,
something more recently.
I really did love They Clone Tyrone, which was a Netflix film with John Boyega.
That's on my list. I have not seen that one.
But other than that, I know, there's the Hulu film No One Will Save You. My co-host Nick did a review of it. It's up on the channel there. I have not checked it out yet, but I mean, he gave it
Okay.
really glowing review there. But other than those 2 movies, I really don't haven't heard much about sci-fi movies really this year or anything like that. I saw The Creator, which was the Garth Edwards movie with, John David Washington in it. I don't know if you know that, but,
Oh,
um
another one I've heard about and I was interested, but I have not gotten this. So
Yeah, it looks I mean, looks pretty. It looks good. That's really about it, but, yeah. But yeah, this was a nice surprise. This kinda come out watching this, and, see, maybe they could expand upon the concept, maybe not. But I still thought this was, yeah, a very strong outing from these creators. Would love to see, them do more, maybe get would you be interested to see if them turn into live action?
um not that it couldn't be done, but I do feel like there is a there's such a perfect idea here, and it just feels like it's in the perfect medium for what it is already. So not that it would be impossible for that to be pulled off and done well, but I feel like it would be unnecessary. I mean, maybe it would reach a larger audience, but I think they've achieved something really great here. And I'd love to see it be left alone, but hey, in the corporate pop culture landscape we live in, I'm sure that's not very likely.
Mm, yeah. Oh, I mean, you could do that. I mean, I think it's fine where it is in the animation realm here. But if they do decide to break it out into live action, I think that the animation is really what sets it apart from just being a standard sci-fi movie of people get stranded on a planet or crew fights amongst each other. I think that's what helps it stand out. And also the writing too, I think is very strong here. A lot of the performance in the writing here is too, very strong. A lot of the emotion here is also very, very good. So yeah, I wouldn't maybe go with This Is Cinema, but I would still give it a strong peak. I think this is a really good series that people should be checking out. Like I said, original idea, original concept, here by these 2 creators. Should support more of that, especially when it's good, especially when it's good.
Yeah.
So yeah, peak from me and a This Is Cinema from Sage for Scavengers Reign.